Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Richie Halversen here with part 3 of Principles of Evangelism and Reconnection as seen through Christ post-resurrection. In the first principle, we saw Jesus make the first move. In principle 2, we saw Jesus meeting people where they are. The third principle is we always see Jesus giving people what they need. You see, hearing the truth wasn't enough for Thomas. He needed to experience the truth. Studies show that people aren't coming to church for information. They've got all the information they could ever want at their fingertips online. No, people are going to be coming to church for an experience and connection. Let me say that again. People are going to be coming back to church for experience and connection. First, let's talk about experience. In the book Power of Moments, Chip and Dan Heath tell how growing organizations create powerful moments. They create good experiences. They say in the book, our life is measured in moments. Think about it. We think back about our life in moments. When we made the winning play at school, the vacation with family, growing up, the graduation, the wedding, the birth of our children. Why do we remember certain moments and forget others? Well, the book answers this question with a really good illustration of taking a family on a trip to Disney World. So let's go through this together. Imagine if during your visit we texted you every hour asking you to rate your experience at that moment on a scale from 1 to 10, where 1 is bad and 10 is incredible. Let's assume we check in with you 6 times. This might be how your day measured up. So at 9 a.m., cattle herding your kids out of the hotel room. There's excitement in the air. Rating 6. At 10 a.m., writing It's a Small World together with parents and children, each under the impression that the other must be enjoying this more than they are. Rating 5. At 11 a.m., feeling a dopamine rush after writing Space Mountain and your kids running up to you and begging to write it again. Daddy, please, let's write it again. Rate it 10. 12 p.m., eating expensive park food with your kids who might enjoy it a little bit less if they knew that you were buying it with their college fund. Rating 7. 1 p.m., waiting in line for 45 minutes in 99 degrees Central Florida heat, 100% humidity, and trying to keep your son from putting his mouth on the handrails. Rating 2. And then 2 p.m., buying mouse ear hats on your way out of the park. Don't your kids look so cute? Rating 8. Now, if we were to average that experience, we would get a 6.5, okay? So a decent day at Disney. But let's say we were to text you again a few months later and ask you to rate your overall experience again. What do you think your rating would be? Well, you would think it'd be 6.5, right? Wrong. You see, according to studies, looking back on your day at Disney, your overall rating would be closer to a 9. It'd be closer to a 9. Why? Well, because researchers have found that in recalling an experience, in looking back at an event, we ignore most of what happens and we focus instead on a few particular moments. All right? So specifically, your day of Disney, you're going to remember Space Mountain because that was the peak of your day. That was the highlight of your experience. And then you're going to remember your kids wearing mouse ear hats because that was the end of your day. Everything else will fade from memory. And this is why we remember an event far more favorably than it actually was. And this is why we will look back on an event and think, you know what, that really was quite a bit of fun, even though at the time you're thinking, I'll never do this again. Often what I see churches doing when they want to grow is they start with all the things that they're not doing well. And let's be honest, there's a lot of things we're not doing well. And what happens is they get overwhelmed and give up. Because we're always filling in potholes, we're never building peaks. But it's the peaks that create experiences worth remembering. And look, eventually we need to fill in some of those potholes. Eventually we need to address some of those weak areas. Just don't start there. Instead of starting with what you're not doing well, start with what you are doing well. Build on what you do best. You may not have the best music in the world. You may not have the best facility in the world or the best preacher or the best children's programs. But if you do a couple of things great, studies have shown that people will even forget the things that you didn't do so great. People want an experience. Give people an experience worth remembering. Make sure that people leave your presence having experienced something well. You see, real worship isn't just cerebral, it's emotional, it's physical, it's spiritual, it touches every facet of our lives. You see, this is something that online media can't replicate. There's nothing like the experience of being with people in community, worshiping and praising God. But if your worship service is boring from beginning to end, if you don't have intentional hospitality and greeting, if you're not meeting the needs of your people, if you're not getting people plugged into life groups or small group, if there's not a single peak in your entire service, if it's just terribly boring, people will not come back to your church. Yes, they would rather stay at home and listen to a more dynamic service from home than to come to your church. And can you blame them? Some pastors listening right now, you would stay at home if you could. Let's give people an experience worth remembering. People don't just want information, they want transformation. The experience people are most hungry for is the second thing people are coming back to church for, is connection. Okay, so experience and connection. 1 Peter 4:8 says, above all, love each other deeply, because love covers a multitude of sin. You see, Thomas not only needed to hear the gospel, he needed to touch the gospel. Not only did Thomas need an experience with Christ, he needed to connect with Christ, literally. If there was ever a time when people needed to be touched by the gospel, it's now. Now, this can be difficult when you have things like social distancing and in the hostile climate that we find ourselves in. But friends, this can be done. It can even happen virtually. So we do a 10-part virtual series called Unchained: Hope and Healing from Addiction. And it's entirely virtual, and in each episode we interview a different person from the local community. We share practical tools on dealing with a variety of habits, hang-ups, and heartaches. We give people hope. We create online community and connection. We remind people that they are not alone. Like Jesus did with Thomas after the resurrection, we gave people something to hold on to throughout the week. Is your church giving people something that they can hold on to throughout the week? You see, I need to know how I can make it. I needed to know when I was caught up in addiction, I needed to know how I could make it a day without using drugs. And so often, the church is not even talking about these issues. Often, people have to go to different places to get the help they need because the church just isn't even dealing with these relevant issues that people deal with on a regular basis. We just pretend we don't have those problems. I mean, we're in the middle of an opioid epidemic. Drug addiction is up, drug overdose is up, suicide is up, domestic abuse is up. There is a problem when the church is silent on issues that everyone else is talking about. Poverty, inflation, worst economy ever, equity, social justice. You see, salvation and social justice are inextricably linked. Christ did not ignore people's future for the sake of their present, nor did he ignore their present for the sake of their future. We cannot get ready for heaven while watching our community go to hell. God's kingdom is concerned with both the present and the future, with the earth and the heavenly. And anything else distorts the gospel. We've got to give people something they can hold on to right now. We got to give them a gospel that not only promises them future salvation, but can give them salvation right then and there. Come on. We need to give people connection. Connect them to a body. The therapeutic value of one addict helping another is without parallel. We could use that for the church. The therapeutic value of one lost person helping another lost person is without parallel. Millennials and Generation Zs are especially sensitive to whether or not the church is talking about issues that they deal with on a regular basis. And until we give it to them, they don't want to have anything to do with the church. Thomas said, unless I see in his hands the mark of the nails and place my finger into the mark of the nails and place my hand into his side, I will never believe. There are young adults, millennials, Generation Z, who will not become a part of the church until they see, touch, feel Jesus in the church. Some people have to feel, touch, see Jesus in us before they'll ever come with you to your church event. You know what's amazing is about this encounter with Thomas is, although Thomas's request seems completely unrealistic, Jesus still gives it to him. Because you see, that's what he needed. Start giving people what they need, because when we do, our greatest skeptics will become our greatest advocates. How do I know? Well, Thomas. I mean, he's called Doubting Thomas, the biggest skeptic. After he touched Jesus, after he poked and prodded Christianity, the Christ of Christianity, he made the greatest profession of faith. He declared, "My Lord, my God." May God bless you and keep you. If you were blessed by this content, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you share this with your friends and family on whatever social media platform you use. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you can be informed on all the content that's coming up. And again, may God bless you as you touch lives for eternity. God bless.